Hey everybody, this is Maxine Taylor with another edition of my Trumpology report. And today we're going to talk about Trump's relationship with the president of Mexico, Pena Nieto. We are all familiar with the fact that Trump announced when he was running that he was going to build a wall and that the Mexican government was going to pay for it. From what I recall, I don't believe he asked them to do it. I think he said they were going to. And of course, Mexico says, no, we're not. Ain't gonna happen. The continuing saga. So I pulled up the birth data on Pena Nieto. We do not have a birth time for him, so I have only a solar chart. However, as we know, those solar charts are amazingly accurate. So what I'm going to describe very simply and bottom line, what Trump triggers in Pena Nieto and what Pena Nieto triggers in Trump. It is very, very interesting. Now, you know, astrology gives potential. It can't tell you what somebody's going to do, particularly somebody as unpredictable, although he is predictable in his unpredictability, someone as unpredictable as Trump. So, let me first of all show you the chart. I hope you can see this clearly. Again, I apologize for my handwriting. This, in the inner circle, I've got those planets, only those planets, in Pena Nieto's chart that Trump triggers. I didn't put all of them in because, you know, if you're not familiar with astrology, with a natal chart, and even if you are, it gets confusing. And if you put too much stuff in, it gets even more confusing. So let me describe to you what Donald Trump triggers in Enrique Pena Nieto's chart so that you can see the potential. First of all, Trump's midheaven, that's the top of the chart. It's his public image. It is his career, his reputation, sits on Pena Nieto's north node in his 11th house of friends. So this is a very favorable conjunction. Conjunction is when two planets come together, or a midheaven and a node in this case, when two things are right on top of each other. So with Trump's midheaven on Pena Nieto's north node, this is a wonderful way of Trump bringing his reputation to the Mexican president in the form of friendship. And Mexico has been one of our chief allies for years and years and years. So this whole situation with the wall is pretty important right now. Okay, now Trump's Uranus, North Node, and Sun are in Pena Nieto's 12th house. Again, this is a solar chart, so that he triggers behind-the-scenes activity for Pena Nieto. Uranus, the rebel. He triggers a certain amount of hidden rebellion, perhaps. And Trump's North Node, the area of fulfillment and success, and his Sun, the giver of life, the center of our world, sits on Pena Nieto's Venus. So a Sun-Venus conjunction is a wonderful sign of friendship. If in a romantic relationship, it can manifest romantically, of course, depending on the sign that it's in. But between two people, it indicates a caring, a loving relationship, the potential for it. And the North Node there really helps. So there is a lot of positive feeling that the two of them expressed or felt toward one another. We want our allies to feel like our friends. And so when the president of each country feels that way, when it's a mutual friendship, This bodes well for both countries. Okay, there's a little more to this, as we know from the news, of course. Now, Trump's Mercury, his conscious mind, what he thinks about, what he talks about, his mouth and his mind. Mercury, I always say, is your mouth and your mind. Sits on Pena Nieto's Mars. Mars is anger, Mars is action. It's in the first house of his solar chart, and it's in the sign Cancer, which is very protective. Trump has 3 planets in Cancer also, so they're very protective, and he's Pena Nieto is protective of himself, and in Cancer, in this case, it's his country. Your family. Cancer is family, and as president, I would hope that you view your country as your family. We can't promise that, of course, but I think that that's what we're looking at here in Pena Nieto's chart. So Trump fires up his anger, his passion, his excitement, his let's get it going energy. And Trump's Mercury also sits on Pena Nieto's Jupiter, which expands that, makes it even stronger. It triggers his optimism. So there is optimism going on. However, Trump's Saturn, which can hold things down, it can bring it to reality, also triggers Jupiter. It dampens the optimism in Pena Nieto's chart. I would say he certainly dampened the optimism. Okay. Then Trump's Saturn sits on Pena Nieto's Sun, the center of your life, your energy, your life force. He can give it strength too. Saturn can strengthen whatever it touches. And we have yet to see if that's going to happen with Pena Nieto. So there is a dampening or a strengthening, but it's not in other words, with Jupiter conjunct the Sun, it's actually Mars conjunct Jupiter conjunct the Sun in Pena Nieto's first house. This is a passionate man, an optimistic man, and a happy person who will fight for whatever he wants to do and goes for it. Saturn, from Trump's chart, kind of slows it down and says, okay, let's temper it. Also, Trump's Venus, which is love and money, sits on Pena Nieto's Jupiter. These are the 2 benefics. When you have a Venus-Jupiter conjunction from chart to chart, it bodes beautifully for friendship, for money, for happiness. But see, Saturn's there. And from chart to chart, I have seen Saturn make a relationship, help a relationship to grow, because Saturn is the planet of responsibility. And when you're, let's say, dating someone whose Saturn sits on your Venus or vice versa, you take the relationship very, very seriously. So this is what's going on here. Saturn on Pena Nieto's first house planets can strengthen it, but Saturn is the boss. Saturn is the leader. We got it right there. Okay, now, Trump's Pluto, control or transformation, I think in this case we're talking control, sits on Pena Nieto's Mercury. Mercury is what we think about, what we talk about. It's in his second house of money. Hello, there it is right there. Now, Trump's Mars doesn't touch anything in that house. And again, we don't have an exact moon position, so we don't know where Pena Nieto's moon is exactly, but it's either in his second house or his third. And so Mars here, probably Trump's Mars, fires up his need, his emotional and economic need for money. We are his allies, of course. And the moon is changed so that Trump can trigger this as well, trigger the change. Trump's ascendant sits on Pena Nieto's third cusp, so triggers communication, his thinking. Trump's Neptune-Jupiter. Neptune is idealism, Jupiter is expansion. Neptune is the dream. he fires up, or it's not even fire, you wouldn't say fires up with Neptune, but inspires hope and optimism in Pena Nieto relating to home, family, real estate, his country. As a Cancerian, I am sure that he sees his country as his family. And Trump's South Node and Moon do not bode well for Pena Nieto's job, for his work, even for his health, for his employees. That's just what's so. And Trump's vertex in Pena Nieto's seventh house of relationships indicates a very obviously karmic relationship. I mean, that's almost a given. Doesn't need to be said, but it's here, so it validates those of us who have felt that naturally our relationship with Mexico is karmic. And person to person, it's karmic. We're talking about Trump and Pena Nieto. This is not a country chart. This is a personal, person to person, man to man chart, president to president chart. Okay, now let's talk about what Pena Nieto triggers in Trump. And it's very interesting. Let me hold these two up here together so you can see. This is Pena Nieto's chart, and this is Trump's chart. And as you can see, you don't have to be an astrologer to see all those red lines are the conjunctions. And so there's a very powerful bunch of conjunctions from chart to chart. There would have to be the people that you interact with on a close personal level. You've got tight conjunctions with them. And this includes the people that it's the people you love or people you hate. Because love and hate are opposite sides of the same coin, aren't they? Okay, so end of philosophical approach, back to astrological approach. This is what Pena Nieto triggers in Trump. So we're going to start up here. Pena Nieto's North Node, the area of success, sits on Trump's midheaven. It helps his public image. Pena Nieto's Venus, love, friendship, the good stuff, sits on Trump's North Node and Sun. He helps Trump's public image. I do not know how this is going to manifest, but there is a great benefit. I'm just speaking astrologically. Venus is the lesser benefic. Whatever it touches, it succeeds. It's blessed. It's wonderful. And so astrologically, we want to keep these two friends because Pena Nieto can help Trump and Trump can help him if they can get through this little bump in the road. I'm being facetious, of course. Okay, so there can Pena Nieto can help Trump's public image. His Venus is on Trump's Mercury, so they have very good thoughts between each other. Together, conversations, not so good when they brought up the wall and payment thereof, I would imagine. And of course, I didn't include this, I'm sorry, that, here we go. The Venus-Mercury conjunction goes from chart to chart and helps conversation flow. Now, Pena Nieto's Mars, fight, passion, sits on Trump's Mercury. And this we saw in the earlier chart between Trump and Pena Nieto. This can create arguing. Pena Nieto's Jupiter, a lot of abundance, triggers Trump's Mercury, so they have a lot of talking to do. Sits on his Saturn that can lift on some level or expand Trump's need to be the leader, the authority figure, and sits on Trump's, my handwriting and pen leave much to be desired. Okay, that didn't help, did it? Pena Nieto's Jupiter is on Trump's Venus again. This is friendship, and so is his Sun. And so he can help Trump as a friend with all groups of people that Trump deals with, whether Congress or just friendship circle. Interesting. Don't you find this fascinating to see what's really triggered? Okay, now we keep on going because Pena Nieto's Mercury is on Trump's Pluto. Mercury is what you think about and talk about. Pluto is the planet of control, and in Trump's chart, it's behind the scenes control and transformation. And so Trump comes up with all kinds of great ideas on how to control, and it's Pena Nieto that triggers that. Now, Pena Nieto's Mercury sits on Trump's Mars, and that triggers the fight within him, the fire within him. We do not know where Pena Nieto's moon is because we don't have a birth time for him, but it's either on his Mars, passion, ascendant, Trump's personal approach, or in his first house, triggering the same thing. In other words, when someone's moon is on your ascendant, they influence you emotionally and bring about a change in you. And Trump has changed his approach to the president of Mexico and to Mexico itself since he started running for office, or at least we saw it then. Now, Pena Nieto's Pluto and Uranus are in Trump's first house. Pluto is control or transformation. Uranus is rebellion. That is what the president of Mexico triggers personally in Trump. And Pena Nieto's Neptune in his third house triggers all kinds of visions of sugar plums. His south node that's the area of drainage or loss, sits on the very foundation of Trump's chart. So that while his north node, Pena Nieto's north node, helps his public image, it doesn't help his land, his real estate, his family situation. And lastly, we don't have a vertex for him or an ascendant because we don't have, or midheaven, we don't have a birth time for Pena Nieto. But with his Saturn in Trump's 8th house, Saturn is restriction or tangibility. It makes it real. Trump has to deal with other people's money. Now, in a mundane chart, the 8th house deals with taxes. And I think that may be what Trump is talking about when he says we will initially pay for the wall and then Pena Nieto, or Mexico rather, will pay us back. That remains to be seen. So, interesting times we live in, don't you think? I hope you've enjoyed this. Stay tuned. I've got more reports on Trump that you may find very helpful. My plan is to do a forecast on him every month. There's a lot going on daily, as you know, in the news. I can't keep up. I don't know about you. There's going to be stuff all the time. So I'll hit the high points of the forecast on Trump and the high points on the forecast for the United States of America. That will be my next video. Join me again when once again we take a look at everything pertaining to Trump. Until then, may the stars shine brightly on you and yours, and may the stars shine brightly on the United States of America.